Hey guys, happy Saturday. Hey guys, happy Saturday. So, it actually is Saturday. I'm not saying that because I edited it or anything like that, but simply because I had a video laid out for you guys. I loved it, it was great. And at one point, the computer decided to delete half of it. I managed to recover, managed to get the rest of it going, and then it deleted the other half. And by it, I mean me, by accident. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about my watercolors. So in January, I did 30 days of watercolor. Is it 30 or 31? I don't remember. I did a whole lot of watercolor during January. And I'd never picked up a brush in my life. So I decided I was going to start with probably the most finicky medium that I could think of. And this is how it went. So day one, I had seen videos on YouTube and I wanted to try the wet on wet technique because I thought it would be pretty and easy. Wet on wet technique is not easy. I hated it. I still kind of don't like it. But I tried to do like flowers and like a flower bush or something, and it just became a puddly mess. So clearly I have no control of the water at this point, and I hadn't even thought of that. So day two, I decided to do something equally tragic. And actually, I think this is a little bit worse. I did skies. I tried here. You could see again, I have absolutely no control of the water. By the way, this shadow over here is my cat, so I apologize. And down here, let me see if I can get it in there. Yeah, down here, it's mostly just like a mess. Here's the sky, here's the sun, and there's a little bit of water down here that you kind of can't see. But you're not missing anything. It looks just as bad as the sky. It looks just as bad as the sky. So I was like, okay, making notes, I hate it, we have to do some basics. And I did. I practiced, and I practiced, and I practiced. And I want to point out that this was on sketch paper. Don't use watercolor on sketch paper. It's not a good idea. But what's even worse is using it on multimedia paper, which I thought I have plenty of, so why not just use that? Somehow I was able to actually get it to work a little bit. I had some gradients. But you can see this paper does not take water very well. It was not very happy. Or maybe it was just me using too much water. What do you think? Leave a comment down below, let me know. I do understand that I had no concept of how much water to use at this point, do not worry. So I was able to get a pretty good base layer here. And I was actually able to get some pretty good gradients too. Like, yeah, they were a little watery at points, but it was improving from what it was day one. And that was all I cared about. I was even able to do like a cloudy sky, which, you know, watercolor people are probably rolling their eyes. But you know, I was impressed with it, and I actually like the thumbnail that I did better than the actual picture. This happens sometimes, but I really like that thumbnail. And this is actually my own photos from Big Bend. I loved it there. It was so beautiful. I highly recommend you go. For those of you that actually follow my Facebook page, you're gonna recognize this image. If my camera focuses for you, please focus. Focus. It's not focusing. Why aren't you focusing? There we go. Nope, it lost it again. Oh, for fuck's sake. There we go. Okay. So, we have the betta fish from the sketch I did. Actually, I think I posted the complete coloring. This is where I started playing with different brush techniques. I really started trying to layer. You can't really tell on this guy, I don't think, but you can definitely tell on the gold and the pink one. And I really just wanted to do betta fish because they're pretty. Hopefully this doesn't take forever to come up. Focus, focus. Oh, this thing's such a pain in the ass. Okay, what we're gonna do is this. We're just gonna keep doing this. Okay. So this looks like it's going to cooperate right now. So this was another day. This was day 6. I was working with wet on wet technique. You can see me trying to figure out what exactly was going to work for this picture. Again, I think my thumbnail came out way better than the picture itself, but that might just be me. At that point, I actually used the black watercolor chalk thingy, and I don't think I would ever do that again. I think that's too harsh and just not what I want to do anymore. But this is where I started referencing things on Pinterest for more ideas. So I have this. I think it was also like a study on like how to use the same color in different ways. This is just a bunch of practice, which didn't go well. At this point, I was getting kind of tired and frustrated, so I decided to do a tree study. I have something up here. I didn't even say, like, what is this? I have like an old piney tree, which we had like in Pittsburgh in the middle of our yard, and I loved it. And then I have something kind of more mossy with different greens. I was also mixing my own greens at this point. I didn't use the greens from the palette anymore. I just thought it was more fun to try and make my own green. And so I actually had like a little wintry scene here, which I really like. It reminded me a lot of home in Pittsburgh, with the tree maybe during winter on a foggy morning, and you've got like the trees in the background using the wet on wet technique. This was a day I really just needed some time off. So I basically did a bear, just flooded it with colors, all colors, any colors, I didn't care. It wasn't even a very good sketch of a bear. This was a day I just really I just didn't care. I didn't want to do it that day, like, at all. So I did another tree study, quote unquote. Like, we're just gonna pretend this is like a shrub. And again, I mixed my own greens and I just like threw it on the paper and I was done. I tried again with skies. You can see that went so well here. At least I got a little bit stronger colors here. This is where I started really trying to punch the color, which is much better than the first attempt. And let's see, what was the next day? Okay, so this is where Pinterest kind of saved me again and re-inspired me. This is where I really started enjoying the watercolor and what I was doing. All of these are basically referenced, copied, whatever you want to say, but I was trying to master watercolor. I was not trying to make my own art. I just wanted to try to paint. So, like, I don't own these. I'll post a link to my Pinterest or whatever for you guys to take a look and compare. This has a very Halloween-y feel to it, and I really love it. Because of the pink and the black, I think. What I did, instead of using black watercolor, I just used a black liner, and I really like how it came out. You got the boat, you've got like the reflection on the water. My cat is going crazy, I'm so sorry. And then you have a boat over here, which is just kind of like propped up on a white sand beach with the ocean in the background. You can't even really tell the difference between the sky and the sea, but again, with more patience, I probably could have put a lot more color on this and been a bit more successful. So here's another kind of like Halloween-y picture. I really like this one too. I actually think I did use black watercolor on this, which may have been a mistake, but I do like how it came out regardless. I love the feel. I love like the moon behind the trees and like oh, it's just so Halloween-y. It speaks to me. And this is where I entered like my abandoned building phase. I found a whole bunch of abandoned buildings on Pinterest, so I decided I was gonna paint them. I really like this kind of idea though, because the scenery outside could be like the wet on wet technique, and then everything closer in the foreground, like the bottle, the grimy bottle, could just be layered up with different colors and things like that. And I really love how the bottle came out. And I even managed to get some shadow in there. Like I was feeling it that day. Again, more abandoned buildings. This is another one that I really enjoyed. Again, found on Pinterest. You've got like the moldy sides, you've got the floors. It just has a really good atmosphere to it. There wasn't much color, but I tried to build it up and layer it as best I could. This was like an old abandoned like building with a window that I really liked. It's hard to see because everything outside is so green, but there's like stuff growing and trying to break in, and I like the idea of nature coming in and reclaiming what was it, like, you know, originally nature's. So I wanted to paint it, even though it wasn't the most successful. This one was actually far more successful in conveying that, I think. Again, an old decrepit building. You've got like the nasty walls, the floors, and I love the reflection. And you have like the healthy greens that are on the actual window itself, and then kind of like the grays and the blacks on the bottom. I really love this one. It speaks to me. So now comes the interesting part. I went out, well, I ran out mostly of regular standard sketchbook paper that I was using, so I had to go buy some good watercolor paper. And hopefully this, yeah, okay, that focused so much better. Okay, so this starts a new era of good watercolor paper. I decided I was going to do a desert, and I was so happy with the way the colors laid down on this. There was basically no buckling. There was, I mean, it was beautiful. This is probably, I love the fiery sky. Like, that speaks to my heart. This looks like something almost on a postcard. I added the tree in the foreground with markers, but I love this one. I really kind of do want to make it a postcard and send it to somebody. So this one is actually, my friend Yvette is a photographer up in Minnesota, and she was taking pictures of lighthouses, so I tried to kind of capture that. I wasn't very successful, I don't think, in like conveying the fog or the colors of the sky versus the color of the ocean, but I really like the lighthouse, and the colors are kind of pretty, if nothing else. Like, you can't tell what's really going on, but they're pretty. I actually made this for my mom. She has been begging me for forever to do something with a horse for her. She wants Secretariat, but I didn't do Secretariat for some reason. I wanted a gray horse. I love gray horses. And so I painted her this after she had her surgery, and I love how this looks. Like, if she doesn't want it, I think I'm gonna make it a print and then like hang it somewhere or something. I love the mane. I love the different shades of gray that I got. It's just so pretty. I love horses, so. This is an owl. I kind of went on an animal kick, I guess. It's not as successful in my opinion. It's very hard to see it from the background, but I wanted to do wet on wet technique with the background and play with that a little bit because I was starting to actually like the wet on wet technique. And I just did a little bit of toying with the feathers of the owl because I do like owls, you know, they're pretty cool. So that's that. At the time I was also reading Where the Crawdads Sing, and I really, really liked this picture. It reminded me very much of that book, so I decided I was going to paint something like this. Again, it was referenced on Pinterest, and I feel like I definitely could have gotten stronger colors, but I like what I was able to do with the time I had, and just the fact that I'd never done it before, and I was still progressing. I was seeing improvement. I was pretty happy with it. Again, that kind of looks like something that could be on a postcard. So I went on another abandoned building kick. We have this guy here. I kind of had to do lines with this one because I don't feel like people would have realized it was a stairway without the lines, or like what was going on exactly. Oh, cat, come on. You have to get out of this shot. Go, go, go. Okay. Sorry, guys. She's like really cuddly lately. So basically it's just an old decrepit building, an old creaky stairway. It kind of reminds me of something from RE7, but you know, who knows. I wanted to try my hand at painting like a little person. It's not even a person, it's like a little dwarf or something from my Inktober. Basically they come out and they clean like this jeweler's like jewelry cases and stuff when he's sleeping, kind of like the dwarves that cobble shoes or whatever for the shoemaker. It's like a jewelry version. I tried to mix my own skin tone without doing any research into what colors I should use, and he looks very gray. But you know, I kind of learned from it, and I do kind of like the way I layered things up, and it was the first attempt at like a human-esque figure. And because every watercolor person ever eventually does one, I did kind of like a still life of vegetables instead of fruits, because I love like my vegetable garden. Again, the colors could definitely have been stronger. You've got basil, carrots, I think these are shallots, onions, fennel maybe? So yeah, like, I like how it came out. I think it's pretty cute. I would like to do another one, maybe a fruit or different vegetables or something like that. Maybe in gouache, who knows? I tried my hand at flowers. I do love lilies, so I just wanted to paint lilies one day. And I just did little different gradients with the pinks, and I kind of wish I hadn't added the green background. I think it kind of took away from it. But you know, I confess I don't really know color theory, and that proves it. This was definitely inspired from Pinterest. Actually, it was just taken from Pinterest. I painted it, and it was because I wanted to do wet on wet technique. I like the idea of this dude just kind of canoeing down the way and having a good old time. So I liked playing on the idea of using different shades of like grays and blacks and stuff and kind of keeping it monotone. It kind of gave it a good atmosphere. This, you know, is a little octopus. I don't know why I felt the need to do an octopus, but I did. So I painted an octopus, and I almost kind of feel like I could have inked him, or I could have done some stronger colors or a different color. But I do like the shading that I got, and if you look closely, I tried to do like some real detail work with the watercolors. This probably would be something I would like to do with gouache, because I actually still have the sketch of him. I do have his sketch somewhere. And I feel like he could really pop if I had like thicker paint and like more time to layer and maybe more imagination. I love this dude. This is my favorite little dude. So he's my monster. Originally my current story was going to be a monster story with like beasts that live in the mines and they prey on the miners there. And this is what they kind of looked like, and they have like the skulls and all the detail in the skull. And I realized pretty quickly, that's my cat, I'm sorry, we're gonna move over here. So I realized pretty quickly that putting such a cool background behind a cool colored monster is probably not the best idea, because he really kind of disappears, which, you know, monsters are intended to disappear, but not in a good way in the art piece. I would definitely like to do him again and maybe change up the colors, but I do like the colors I was able to achieve on him, and even like on the area around him. Like if they were separate, I think I would be happy with it, but as it is with like, you know, combined, I don't think they look so good. So this next picture is actually from an old sketch. It was Delson Rowe from infamous Second Son, and I decided I was going to try to color him, and so I did, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. The color of his skin I don't think is correct. It should have been darker in my opinion, because he's not white, but I was having trouble mixing it. But I do feel there's successful pieces in this. I do really like the hands, and I like the details on the jacket, so I'm gonna bring that up. Like, I like the details that I was kind of able to get on these hands and the jacket. Like, I like this. His face, you know, it looks good as a sketch, but a lot of the detail that I put into his face got lost. Let me show you the sketch. Like, the original sketch was from 2015 or something? 2017 maybe? Hold on. Okay, yeah, the original sketch I did was from 2015, okay? And it was like all out done. I wanted to color it, and so that became this. I would really like to try this one again too though. But all things considered, considering I mixed the skin tone, considering I was trying to layer up, considering I started completely from scratch. I am actually pretty happy with how it came out. And I would actually like to kind of try picking up watercolor again, I think. This one is definitely not my favorite, but it is the first human I tried to draw. So, I mean, I learned a lot and I'm able to apply it to other mediums. Like I carry that with me when I use gouache, and I highly recommend that anybody that is curious try watercolor. But I do recommend, if you are interested in watercolor, I am not a professional, but I will say paper makes a difference. Get watercolor paper. Do not use printer paper. Do not use your cheap sketchbook paper. I don't care. Invest in a little bit of good paper and it will go a long way. So now that I've thoroughly embarrassed myself and you guys probably think I'm the worst thing ever, I will go ahead and I'll post what I did originally from my other video into my Facebook page and Instagram. If you're not already a follower, check it out and you'll see what you missed, because I am not redoing that video. Not a third time. I'm sorry, guys. But so if you like the video, go ahead and give it a like. If you have any recommendations, thoughts on how to improve with watercolor or even gouache, which I've become much more in love with, feel free to leave a comment. If you have a preference, or you know, one of them struck out to you as something that you really enjoyed, let me know in the comments what picture you liked most. I'm really kind of curious what people are, you know, thinking. What do they like to see? More deserty scenes? Are they more into the cool beach scene? Are they more into characters? There's so much you can do with watercolor, but honestly, I don't know that I have the patience. Gouache has quickly proven to be my true love. So yeah, for sure, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Like the video. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I do have some really good ideas for next week. I'm hoping I don't delete those videos too, because God help me, I've already cried twice. I don't need to do it again. So I will see you guys next week, and please everybody stay safe. And if you are like me and you're about to be hit by the tropical storm, please stay safe and stay dry. I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching.